Hello and good morning and welcome to According to Courtney. I am Courtney West, and if you are a first time joining us, welcome. And if you are a family member who's been here, it's so good to have you back. Here on According to Courtney, we come to gain some knowledge and to always fill your cup. Here we go over different subjects such as mental health, Black maternal health, how to fill your cup, sex, and everything in between. Today, I'm super excited to have this particular guest because today we're going to talk about something that we don't really talk about enough, and that's how we deal with trauma. And a lot of times we just sit in our own traumas, but we haven't really learned how to release and reframe that trauma. So I'm super excited to have the guest that we have today, who is actually a professional on working on this. So we're going to bring Koni into the space right now.
Hello.
Hello. I am so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here and very honored.
It is an honor and a pleasure to hold space with you.
Absolutely.
Guys, you guys have no idea. I love me some Queen Koni. This is my boo. And we're going to go into all of why she's so amazing. But I want to open up the space to you like I do with everyone else. I like to ask you 3 questions. 1, what is your name and the origin of your name? 2, where you're from and your people from? And then 3, what do you want to bring into space today?
I love that. So it's so interesting. I was just having a conversation about my name today with one of my sisters. So my name is Emmanuel Koni Bagbeolala Lewis Jolly. And so my name, the first name Emmanuel, I was named after my dad, but the meaning of that name is God is with us. And then Koni is my middle name. I was named after my great grandmother, and Koni Bagbeolala means strong woman. And then the Lewis Jolly is just from my ancestral lineage from both my maternal and paternal side put together from the culture in West Africa. And so that's my name. That's my full name, but I go by Queen Koni.
Yes.
All my day ones and my family members, they know me as Koni, and I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna get into that whole entire story because it fits right into the conversation, right?
Perfect.
And so where I'm from, I was born and raised in New York, Manhattan, New York. I went to high school and college in Virginia, and I've been in Florida for the last 8-9 years. But my family, my father's side of the family is from West Africa, Sierra Leone. And my mother and her side of the family is from Charleston, South Carolina. So my ancestors are indigenous and African.
I love it.
Yes, ma'am. And what I plan on bringing into the space today is activation. I plan on activating myself and others with all the tools and knowledge and some of the concepts that I'm going to be bringing to the table so that we can better process, release, and reframe our trauma and regulate our nervous systems and step into our true authentic selves.
I love it. That's just all the things that we all need in 2024 and in life in general.
Yes.
I'm so excited. So I will say, I wanted you to tell your story. How did you get into this work? What made you become Queen Koni?
That's a loaded question, Courtney. I don't think you have a lot of time.
Give us a little snip of it.
Let me see. I love to go telling a good story. So really my journey started in 2013. It started in the wellness industry as a wellness coach. And I started my personal development journey back then. And so I would host fitness camps. I would host, little wellness retreats and, walks. And I was into that field in the beginning. And as time went on, I found myself more into the direct support profession. So an advocate for the intellectual and the behavioral disabled. And then further along the line, working with the elderly with dementia and Alzheimer's, right? And so from that, I started my business. I decided to go back to school in 2018 for massage therapy because I'm like, okay, I need to make money. I need a career that's going to pay me more. I want more time with my child. I want more freedom, things like that. However, massage had been a gift of mine for over 20 years. I've always been gifted with my hands, and I've always been known to have really strong hands. And
facts.
So
big facts. He's my therapist, so I'm telling you, big facts. Them hands is powerful.
So going back to school to enhance my gift is how I started my business, essentially my practice. And so starting my business in 2018 and then moving into the COVID without knowing, that led me into my spiritual awakening. So 2018 was my activation year. That was actually my spiritual awakening year. That's when life was totally, completely upside down. like completely malnourished, like just like total chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at that during that year, you know, my tire got tired, and I was like, I can't take this no more. I can't take living like this no more. Something's got to give. And so then I was presented people, places, things, books, YouTubes, you know, just so many different things coming into my awareness of like spirituality and energy and healing. And so I decided to embark on that journey for myself, and I invested in myself, went to school, got some personal development, learned about, you know, energy and spirituality, and that was the journey. And so 4 years later, here I am. I'm in my practice right now, and I've decided to pour into the community through healing the body, like reducing the pain in the body so that we can become more aware of what's contributing to the pain to begin with. And so on my journey, I've just enhanced my skills by getting different knowledge and awareness in different areas of healing, like hypnotherapy is one of them, integrated talk therapy is another one of them. And so I have learned to incorporate different holistic tools of divinity to assist in the work that I do. So if you come to my practice, it's not your usual practice. It feels like home. We have you take your shoes off when you get here. We have an in-depth conversation to get to know each other so you can feel safe and, you know, allow yourself to be vulnerable. And then we get you on the table, but we incorporate breath work, stretching, we incorporate aromatherapy. You know, we sage, we use incense. Like I said, we have crystals and colors and different things to activate energy clearing within your body and your chakra system so that you can feel better, you know? And so that's my story in a nutshell. I've pivoted so much over the last 6 months. And you know what? As a facilitator of healing, I'm also healing, right? So like I'm healing others while I'm healing myself simultaneously. I think that's the best part about this journey, is being able to facilitate breakthrough through my own personal experiences with the tools and the concepts and the frameworks that I share with my clients.
That's beautiful. And I feel like that's really important because a lot of times we always ask who heals the healers.
Right.
And the tool set, you know, a lot of times when you go into healing work or leadership work, you're constantly bombarded with trauma on top of their own traumas that we may have carried from childhood and life, things like that. So in your practice, how do you see how trauma shows up in people?
It's a great question. So trauma shows up in all of us through many different ways, but the way that I am most present to is the body. And so I'll share a fun fact. I love sharing this fact with everybody because it's just empowering. So whenever we are faced or exposed to trauma, whether it be macro or micro, what happens is the brain dissociates from the body so that we don't feel the pain of the trauma anymore, right? It's a survival mechanism that we all are programmed to do. However, in that period of dissociation or disconnection, a couple of things are happening. One, we are not able to repair and regenerate ourselves as proficient as we were designed to, right? We're also not able to sustain a healthy immune system. So we're compromised. And then we in turn create more disease, more discomfort, more pain. And so when you have that exposed trauma and that information in your body and it's unprocessed, meaning like you don't have any awareness that the trauma exists in your body, or you don't remember the trauma, right? You haven't acknowledged it. And then you also have the emotions from that trauma, the feelings and the sensations that you actually went through during that time is also trapped in your body, right? So you have the unprocessed information, you have the emotions that are also stored in the body. And now those are contributing to the manifestation of pain, like chronic pain, chronic emotional and physical pain. So oftentimes, I mean, people come in, I can feel and see the trauma based off the words that are coming out of their mouth, because oftentimes it's always in the story that we tell. And then I can see it in the body. Like I can literally see where the body is holding tension. Like it could be a raised shoulder, or it could be like an imbalance of, you know, how you're holding your body. And it just shows that, oh, there's an imbalance, or there's tension, or there's congestion, there's stress here. And oftentimes it's contributed to from, you know, trauma, unprocessed information.
So true. Because a lot of people, you'll see them and it's like, oh, I got this crick in my neck, or my back hurts all the time, or my shoulders are always tight, or always having GI issues is
a big one.
Is a main one that you'll see in trauma. I know in birth work, a lot of times you'll deal with people who work in birth work who have more issues, gynecological issues than most.
Yep.
because you're constantly taking on everyone else's trauma inside of
Yeah.
your own body. So say someone
Exactly.
is completely new to the game, they don't
Hmm.
understand trauma, anything. What are some key things they should look at in themselves to be like, hey, your trauma's showing, and to know what to look
Yeah.
for? Because people just think, oh, my back hurts and my shoulders hurt and things are like that because I'm tired,
Hmm.
but they're
Yeah.
constantly tired.
Right, exactly. I would say so. So the month of January for me is all about the art of processing, right?
Mm.
Processing is all about becoming aware of how your body is feeling, becoming aware of your thought patterns, becoming aware of your triggers, right? But then it's also acknowledging your behavior, your contribution, your participation in the story that you're telling, right? Like if you're in constant pain, what are you doing to contribute to that pain, or what aren't you doing to contribute to the pain? Because oftentimes your behavior is being fueled by the deeper core rooted belief systems and your thoughts, right? And then observing, like just taking an observation or an aerial view of everything that's happening without judgment, right? Without criticizing it, just like stating the facts, and then making choices to move in a way that is going to support a regulated nervous system or support reducing your pain. So those four attributes right there to me is like, that is the bulk of processing. So anyone that's new to the game and that's like in constant pain, is like, oh, I don't have trauma, or don't even know that trauma exists. I would say that, like, when's the last time you were triggered? Like, when's the last time your nerves were sparked, right? Like, when's the last time you felt offended? I would ask those type of questions, because that is how you know, like, that's trauma. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's trauma contributing to that. And oftentimes, the most beautiful part about like talk therapy is that the subconscious and the unconscious parts of yourself will literally give the tea. You won't even be aware of what you're saying, but you will tell it. You will get it out in the story, and then usually I would just reiterate what I'm hearing, like verbatim out of their mouth, and then them hearing what they're saying will kind of click, like, oh wow, like I never heard it that way, because you can't see past what you're in. It's like you're wearing the glasses, but you're looking through the frames. You're looking through the frame of your pain, and so you don't see the frames on your face. You don't see all the other contributing factors to the story oftentimes, because you're in the midst of it.
That's so powerful, because a lot of people want to talk about, especially in American society, what healing is. And a lot of people think healing is, okay, I'm gonna take this pill, or I'm gonna drink this juice, or I'm gonna work out only, or I'm gonna take this tummy flattening, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's not really what the healing is. The core of the healing a lot of times is internal.
Yeah.
But a lot of people get so caught up, they don't know how to do it, because they haven't gotten a lot of times the right tools.
Right.
I think that a lot of times how we take in trauma has a lot to do with how we were raised.
Yes.
And what was done around us, and also understanding trauma can be generational.
Yes, it definitely is. I'm glad that you said that. So when we talk about trapped emotions, right, which, I mean, that's like energy is, emotion is like energy in motion, right? So it's essentially the same thing, and energy cannot be destroyed, or, it just doesn't die, right? It just continues. And so when you are exposed to trauma, the emotions are going to be there. You know what I mean? And so when you feel these emotions over and over again, like it's like, where do these emotions come from? We think that it's the person right in front of us, or the thing right in front of us. But really, whole time, these emotions have been in our bodies for decades, and even like generations. So I always like to say, people, like, when it comes to trapped emotions in your body, right? The emotions that were stored in your body from the exposure of trauma, they're created one of three ways, sometimes all three. They're either absorbed from your environment, like people and stimuli from your environment, or they're created from within, like you create the emotion from within, or they're passed down generationally. And so, think about our ancestors who never had the opportunity to heal their womb and the trauma that they experienced, because their lives were cut off short. What do we think happens to that energy? That energy gets passed down through our DNA. And so our babies are now born with automatic negative thought patterns. You know what I mean? That
Absolutely.
take place in the womb. So, yeah, that's my take on it.
But it's so powerful, and it's true, because a lot of times in birth work, what I see with parents and mothers, especially, I love to be able to get grandmothers and soon to be mothers in the same room. And what unfortunately, a lot of times you hear is negative. And the trauma response. And then a lot of times I have to go to the grandmother. It's like, why is your response this? What was your birth like? And they'll tell
Wow.
you how traumatic it was and how this and how this. And then I have to ask them then, do you want that for your daughter
Wow.
or for the birthing person? They're like, well, no. Well, if you don't want that for her or them,
Right.
why are you putting out nothing but trauma? It's like, I just want her to be safe.
Right.
I don't want her to hurt the way I did. I said, but understand, by putting that into motion, you're already perpetuating the trauma to come, because now in her head is, well, if this happened to my mother, my grandmother, everything else, then this has to happen to me.
Wow.
And it's about reframing and rethinking about that. And a lot of times it ends up being healing for both parties. It's like,
That's so
wow,
beautiful. Yeah.
I've never had anyone talk to me about that, because I feel like as a culture, we are not allowed to process our traumas. And I feel like our generation and the generation of our children are the first ones saying like, no,
we're going to process it.
We're going to process this, and have kind of come out of our shell, because I think is that because we've had more social awareness.
Yes.
Because of social media and because of other things, our world has opened up that, hey, guess what? Everybody don't live like this.
Right. It's so true. It's so true. I agree.
I feel like with your practice, I'm going to go a little backwards on how we got connected. You had reached out to me from doing community work, and we had like the longest, best, like 2-hour conversation just over the phone. I was just like, oh my God, who is this person? And just on the vibe of just energies of about healing and what releasing it is. And you asked me a question that stuck out to me. She's like, well, you do all of this stuff in the community. You do community events. You take care of people, but who takes care of you? And I was like, what? Say that again. Are you like, no, well, who takes care of you? So I take care of myself. She's like, and how's that working for you? And I'm like, did you just, I don't even know you like that. And then after that, I was like, you know what? Now I need to come see you, because I was like,
oh my God, that's funny.
But I loved it because it was so true, because I run it. Most times when you're doing this work, you just go and go and go. And she's like, okay. And I remember when we saw each other, you're like, okay, you're doing all this. So how do you process your trauma? I'm like, I don't think these are first date conversations. I thought was coming for a massage. And then I was like, oh my
God, that is so funny.
But it made me go back and really think about, well, how are you processing trauma?
Right.
How are you moving through things? And I had to look at myself. It's like, I don't. I will hold it. I'll disassociate from it, or I'll try to pull. I had to change my reframing and had to reframe. It's like, okay, how do I take this trauma and this pain, reframe it, and say, what is this really teaching me? And I feel like it took someone to say and it wasn't a call out per se, but it was a real question. It's like, okay, so you do all of these wonderful things, but what do you do for yourself, and what do you do consistently for yourself?
Yeah.
And I feel like in pain and stuff and trauma, I don't think we consistently, I think that's a problem overall. People aren't consistent on dealing with their trauma because it hurts.
Yeah, we can go into a whole nother 3-hour conversation on that.
Listen.
We're not going to touch on the fact that we're addicted to cortisol, right? We're addicted to the pain. It's a drug. Pain is a drug. And we all have very high tolerances of pain because of the decades of like programming and conditioning, right? Like we were born into this reality and through pain, right? And so, on this journey of healing, like we have to recognize that, we've been dealing with the pain far longer than we've been living without it. And so like we're going to find ourselves like itching and going back to it because it is an addiction. Like we're so used to feeling the pain and being in certain situations that perpetuate anxiety and depression. Like it's a coping mechanism almost, you know what I mean? Like
it is.
Yeah.
It really is.
So me asking you that question, so my intention of reaching out to you and other facilitators was to let you know that you have support, right? Because I discovered that like I may not be the one to serve the marginalized communities like I thought I was. But I am here to serve the leaders, those who are pouring into those communities, because who's pouring into us? Like, just because we're like the wounded healer, right? Like we were gifted, we were called to leadership. And so we don't need a full cup to facilitate breakthrough. However, facilitating breakthrough with a fuller cup gives us more power and authority. You know what I mean? Like, we set the example for the person that we're healing to say, hey, like, I have strong boundaries. You know, this is self-worth. This is love. This is an act of love for myself, and most importantly for God, for infinite source. Like, I'm a child of God. So how I treat myself is a direct reflection how I treat God to me. That's how I feel about myself, right? So like, I greet myself, I call myself Queen Koni because that's me acknowledging my self-worth. I am royalty, and I had to work on that, right? Like, I had to increase my self-love because for many years I didn't love myself. For many years I didn't accept myself, right? And so I'll go into the story with my name. This is like a beautiful like invitation. So you know, my name is pronounced Koni. However, my sister, I don't know which sister it was, but my older sister was like, you know, she didn't like the pronunciation of my name. And so she started calling me Connie. And so like all my life, I grew up with like half my family calling me Connie and then half of them calling me Koni, right? But I became ashamed because of her projection of my name, I took on that projection and didn't like my name either, right? Without even knowing like the impact that my name held. And so, you know, I got made fun of in school, you know what I'm saying? Like, I positioned myself to feel rejection, to feel, you know, all the lower vibrations that came with that. And so I was like, oh, Koni is Connie. My name is Connie. I shied away from it until 2019. I met Jade, my partner in love, and you know, we're getting to know each other. So of course I'm letting her know what my name is, right? She knows that in school they're calling me Connie, but she's like, you know, what's your name? Like, and I'm like, my name is Koni. It's really pronounced Koni. And I told her the same story, and she was like, I like Koni. I actually love Koni better, and I'm gonna call you Koni. I'm not calling you Connie because Koni is your name. You know, your name, that's your grandmother's name. Like, and she really like activated me in that moment. I'm like, wow, like I didn't realize how much I didn't love myself in that moment because I was so ashamed of my name because of what somebody else felt about it. And so that was the moment that I became Queen Koni, because I'm like, I'm going to honor myself. I'm going to honor my great grandmother who gifted me this power. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I kind of like lost my track, but
no. You went exactly where it needed to go, because that's really powerful. Because I want to know, in your practice dealing with Black and brown people, especially, how do you see them show up a lot of times when you reach your door?
So a lot of the Black and brown community don't show up, right? That's number one. Number two, when they do show up, they show up apprehensive. They show up with judgment. And as soon as they come in, the judge, you could see it, like, oh wow, like I can't, like the judgment disappears, and you know, and you could see it, like you could feel the apprehension of like, damn, like I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have thought that, or like, damn, I was wrong, like, you know what I mean? Because they come in and they immediately feel release. You know, they feel releases, like they're immediately crying, or they're vulnerable, they're telling their story, right? And they're getting fed. You know what I mean? So it's a bittersweet experience dealing with the Black and brown community, because I'm a Black woman, so I'm like, I'm here for y'all, like I'm your sister. You know what I'm saying? But you rather trust a white person or white man before you trust your own sister, right? Because of the trauma that we've been exposed to as a community, as a collective. So
and that's where I want to hit on. Yep.
Yeah, it's a bittersweet, but like the ending of it is always so beautiful, because they come and they experience something that they never could have imagined experiencing from a Black woman in this field.
I love it. So we're gonna put a pin in that right now, because I want to come back to that, because I feel like that's so powerful and important. Because we always go, when it comes to trauma, into healing, we never want to go to ourselves and our own people to heal, but don't understand that comes from historical trauma of being, you know, the healers in our community being destroyed, being discredited, be put prosecuted completely. They're witches, they're this, they're that. And if it's not in a mainstream, you know, colonialist thought process, it has to be wrong.
Yeah.
Or they could be feeding the same information, but if it's a person who doesn't look like you, you're willing to take it. So
it's conditioning.
It is conditioning. It's so conditioning. We're gonna go all through it, but we're gonna talk about how we're gonna fix it afterwards. But we're gonna take a little break here and Troy's gonna come in with us.
Alrighty. Great topics. We are going to talk about our blast artist. This blast artist, her name is Courtney. Wow. Let me try that again.
That's not. I'm like, it's not me singing. It ain't me.
Okay.
I was like, no. I got a lot of talents, baby. That ain't it. That ain't me.
My bad. This blast artist is Kelsey Montanez, and this is called Let Me Love You. Let's check it out.
What they say about me, they say I'm strange and wild, but I let you read me like an open book. But only you, I might be tender, I might be soft, and I might surprise you with how hard I go fight for your love. Baby, I want ya, I gotta have ya. Baby, I need ya. If you let me love you, honey, I can promise I only wanna please you. Baby, now do you feel me? Could I get any more real? Could I bear how I feel any more than this? If you want it, it won't be easy, but I promise, if you're honest, you're never gonna go a day without my love. Baby, if you want it, you gotta have it. Baby, if you need it, if I let you love me, you gotta promise you'll only love is sweetly. Baby, let me love you like you're mine. Hey, you're never gonna have to guess how I feel. Yes, honey, I'll always keep it real. Gonna tell you how I love you every day. Always gonna chase all the blues away. Baby, in my red lip and my work shirt. Come on, give me a kiss, I don't gotta hurt. Never gonna lie, never gonna put you down. You know I'm never gonna run around. Baby, let me love you like you're mine. Yeah, baby, let me love you like you're mine. Hey, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Man,
indeed.
yes.
And that is Kelsey Montanez with Let Me Love You. And if you are an independent artist or a spoken word poet or upcoming comedian looking for some exposure, you can go to blastmusic247.com and register for free. But Blast is also looking for the fans. So if you're a fan of great music, you can go to blastmusic247.com, register to the unlimited fan registration, and you'll have access to voting. Most of all, our Blast playlist, where you can collect all the music from the artists and listen to it in one spot. So again, that's blastmusic247.com, changing the industry one artist at a time. All right, ladies, back to you.
Thank you.
That was. I may have to apply. I do
Listen,
poetry.
It's so much fun. I absolutely love being part of the Blast family, and we have such a great array of all types of people. And I can honestly say, part of my trauma healing was starting this podcast. It
I
really
love that.
was.
I
I
love that.
wanted to, and it was funny. We were gonna give, like, I love giving flowers, so most of my guests always
Mhm.
give them their flowers. So it's time to get yours. So
Mhm.
one of the reasons I started this podcast was doing the work with working with you, and so you were my. I tell people you're my untherapist because, and I say that because traditional therapy is a beautiful thing and
It
it's
is.
very helpful for a lot of people. But a
Mhm.
lot of times when you work in this industry and you work in the community, it's not a safe space to always
Mm.
be around the other therapists because then it changes the dynamic that you're seeing. And so for
Ah.
me, having an untherapist that I can get physical work for along with talk therapy and everything else was a better fit for me.
I love that.
And me doing that work made me really sit down when I was asked about doing a podcast. I had to really sit at myself because my first reaction to it was like, who would want to listen to me? No
Mm.
one's going to hear what I have to say. I'm not
Wow.
important enough to share what I think on these types
Wow.
of platforms. But I had to really recondition myself of like, that's a trauma response.
Mhm.
And it took a very amazing therapist that I knew and then working in sessions, things to like, ooh, you
Yeah.
might need to really like look at that. So I, give you the flowers and give the things that one of the process of being here right now, having this platform and
It's
sharing this
beautiful.
platform for other people
Yeah.
was to heal, it was taking my own trauma and
Mhm.
refocusing it into something beautiful.
That's so beautiful, Courtney. That is
So
so beautiful. Happy that you showed up in that light.
I'm happy you show up in yours. And I feel like we've talked about, we got into it a lot of times that I know as Black and brown people, we will want to heal, but are so uncomfortable with that healing really looks like and where it's
Yeah.
supposed to show up from. A lot of people feel like if the person doesn't have a white coat, what they say
Mhm.
doesn't matter.
Right.
And, there has to be a balance of, and I dealt with that when I first started as a doula and dealing with
Mhm.
trauma, and people are like, Black and brown people are dying 3 to 4 times the rate. I don't want to die. That's
Right.
the answer I get to many things. So why you want to doula? I don't want to die.
Mm.
I don't want to be even more traumatized. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
That's real.
Let's reframe all of that. Let's start about how you want to live.
Oh, I love that.
And how do you want to bring your child into this world? Do you want to be brought into terror and trauma? Or do you want to be brought
Mm.
into love and acceptance? Because this is the most important moment of your life and this
Wow.
child's life. You're setting the tone and you're
Mhm.
palpating their lives by how they're brought
Yeah.
into it. And
Yeah.
so it's about that reframing. And I would love to hear, because I know you're so great about having people look at their trauma, but then
Mhm.
reframing that and refocusing that trauma.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. So I used to identify myself as a non-traditional therapist, right? Because I'm not in a traditional setting, yet I am doing therapy. Like let's face it, like you're making breakthroughs with me, the same breakthroughs that you would make in a traditional setting, right? But then I start to realize like, well, I'm not non-traditional because everything that I do is of my tradition, like my ancestors, so it is
Right.
traditional. So I dropped that whole thing and I'm like, you know what? I don't need no titles. Like I'm Queen Koni and I'm an intuitive self-help guide. I help lead you back to your own power and your own higher self.
Mhm.
And so when it comes to like, when we talk about reframing your trauma, I think the most important thing to know is like vulnerability is key. Like
Mhm.
feeling safe, allowing yourself to feel safe to look at the darker side, like to really
Mhm.
like go back to the things that you've been suppressing is really, that's the key to reframing your trauma. Like if you don't know something exists, then there can't be any change. And so when we talk about reframing, as you just did in hypnotherapy, we focus on life without the problem. So instead of focusing on like, do you want to, do you want to experience trauma, or like, do you want to experience love and acceptance? Like that's
Mhm.
the focus, right? It's just like reframing it because there are more options. There's more options to the story that we're telling.
Mhm.
And people don't know that at first because you're in it. You're just in it. And so it helps to be given that perspective, or many perspectives, that hey, you can think about it this way. Like you can shift your perspective and look at it from this angle. And from there, that's when the breakthrough comes, because people are giving themselves more options when you
Mhm.
are reframing your trauma.
That's so beautiful and so true. So if you have
Mhm.
a person who is new to the game, they know that they're feeling lots of pain, physical things like that, and they recognize that they have trauma. but they're not sure how to tap into it. What are some key ways that you would say, just even a list of how do I even realize what my trauma is so I know what to reframe?
I love that. So I always give people this tool. It's called the 4 Pillars of Alchemy, AAOC, and it's the system that I briefly spoke about earlier. So you just become aware of what you're feeling in your body, right? Like just like become aware of the fact that you feel some type of way. Like you feel a way, it's okay, just admit it, and then acknowledge your participation. What led you to feeling some type of way? Did you answer that phone call? Was a boundary crossed? Like, did you not take care of yourself, nourish yourself? Did you not eat, or, are you not getting enough sleep? Like, acknowledge your participation. And then you're going to observe all the contributing factors. Like, just state all of what's going on without criticism. Like, it's okay if somebody hurt your feelings. Just state the fact that they hurt your feelings, whatever. And then after you have all the information, you are now going to, choose how you want to move forward, right? Like you're going to be able to see so much more options after you take yourself through that process, and then you'll choose something that you can implement immediately. Like it has to be practical, it has to be very simple, something that is in alignment with how you want to feel, or something that's going to support a regulated nervous system, and then you do it immediately.
What is like that sounds beautiful. And that's so true. What is something little? If someone's starting on their journey of like, okay, I want to work on myself every day. What is something little that you could just start with?
I love that. So I recommend to everybody, like, as soon as you open your eyes in the morning, you should be giving honor for yourself. Like, pour into yourself in the way that you pour into others. So before you pour into somebody else, like your children, your husband, the emails, your phone, whatever, pour into yourself first. That could look like opening your eyes and thinking. You don't even need words. You can think, infinite source, I thank you for me. Thank you for allowing me to wake up in a fully functional body and in my right mind. Thank you for the strength. Thank you for the chance to be better than I was yesterday. That something as simple as that is going to change your life tremendously. Even in the moments of dysregulation where like you really don't feel it, right? I've been moving through that the last week, but those words and that intention alone will allow you to get up out of bed. Even if it's just getting up out of bed and not holding and not judging yourself. If you can't take a shower today, that's okay. Don't take a shower today. If today you're not okay, it's okay. Don't be okay today. You know what I mean? Allow yourself to feel how you feel, but also know that you have an option to move forward when you're ready. And I think having that is very powerful for me personally. So I tell that to anybody.
What you just said was so powerful, because what I took and heard from that is like, it's okay to forgive yourself. It's okay to give yourself grace.
Yes.
It's okay not to be okay, but that you can move through it in your time, but to give yourself that space to feel it. And I feel like that's how we're not perpetuating the trauma is
exactly.
Ooh, this hurt my feelings. Ooh, this really hurt me. Let me explore it. Let me look at it. Let me gauge it. Is it that it hurt my feelings because it's someone I care for? Is it that I hurt my feelings because I ain't eat nothing today and now I'm seeing it and I feel some kind of way? What is it? And then be able to release it, move through it, and then reframe it.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is that when it comes to like processing, releasing, and reframing, you can't do it by yourself. That's another thing. We have this independence, right? Like we're going to do it alone. We're going to suffer alone. We're going to do everything alone. And that's just like not the truth. Like you need tools. You need community. You need natural resources to assist your body in processing the trauma, releasing the emotions from it, and then reframing it. Those are 3 different aspects. And then there's the embodiment, right? So I want to touch on this really quickly. So for anybody that's new to the journey, or if you're already on the journey, it's good to just know this information. You can process information all day long. You can process information all day long, but guess what? The emotions from that processed information are still in your body. You need tools, techniques, you need assistance to get that out of your body. And there's a variety of ways that you can release emotions, right? You can cry, you can laugh, you can jump, you can tap, you can scream, you can punch, yell. I mean, there's so many different things. You can breathe. There's so many things, but you can process information all day long. You still have the emotions. Now you can release the emotions out of your body, but guess what? Now you have to reframe the negative thought patterns. So although you've processed a lot of information and although you have released a lot of emotions, you still have been living in an identity that has been living in the trauma for decades. So just because your body's regulated doesn't necessarily mean that your behaviors are changed all the way, because you still have same cycles going on, same limiting beliefs deep rooted, right? And so when it comes to the reframing, yeah, you may be able to reframe the information now, reframe your thought patterns, but now there's the embodiment of who God created you to be. Who are you now that you don't have this pain, right? And that's a whole nother journey of self-discovery, because now you have to discover the characteristics of who you are healed, and you have to embody those healthy habits. Meaning, if you're not doing this habit no more that was sabotaging you, then what are you doing? Right? If you're not scrolling mindlessly, this is my personal experience. If you're not scrolling mindlessly because you're dissociating, then what are you doing? I'm reading more books. I'm learning 2 languages, right? Like, I'm literally spending more time with my daughter. Like, I'm taking up space in other areas that I've always desired to take up space, but my old patterns and behaviors didn't allow me to, because it was just habitual, right? And so the embodiment aspect is a whole nother journey of discovery, because you don't know who you are. None of us do. We're literally coming out of programming and conditioning. We're finding out who we are without all of the societal projections on us,
Oh, you just said so much there. I
did.
love it. You did, but it's so fitting and it's so true. It's like you can't. I feel like also that is such a American construct of we're on these islands by ourselves. You're not to be with people and community, which is really not where we're from. You need people. We need community. You need to have someone to heal and touch and feel, so that you can feel whole. And I feel like we don't get enough of that.
We don't hug each other enough. We don't hug each other long enough. We're supposed to hug each other for 12 seconds.
I know. I was blown away when I read that. It's like, you're supposed to hold someone for 12 seconds and deep breathe with them. And if you're intimate with your partner, you're supposed to kiss them for 30 seconds. I said, that's a long time. That's a long time. Like, why I gotta suck your face this long? But I had to learn what it was the breathing and to looking at someone, because how it was put to me, because I read this book, it was on burnout, and it was like, when you're holding your partner that close, you're only going to be that close with someone that you truly love and feel safe with. Yeah. And so take that time to breathe them in, to let them hold you, and to kiss you for 30 seconds. And so I know even with my own partner, he said something to me about it. It's like, wow, you hold me so much longer. You kiss me so much longer. I really like that.
Yeah.
I was like, because it's a reconnecting, it's a healing piece of it, and a safety piece of it. And it's just it's learning. We don't know. I didn't know that. Right. I hadn't seen that. I wasn't raised with that. My family, like, we hugged and we kissed and we held, but our grandmother did that. My grandmother was a holder and kisser. But she did that because it was learning, because she never touched or held her children or kissed them or told them she loved them.
Oh, wow.
She didn't do that until she had grandchildren. Wow. And I asked her about it. I said, why don't you? I said, Mommy, why you always tell me you love me, but I don't see you say it to everyone else? She's like, well, when I was raised, my parents never told me they loved me. They showed me they loved me. I said, what did that look like? She's like, hard work. There's food on the table. You had clean clothes. They sewed my clothes. They do my hair. So real. I said, but that's not. I said, but Mommy, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to. I'm your child. You're supposed to do my hair. You're supposed to feed me. You're supposed to do those things. I said, but to love someone is to hold someone. Yeah. And I learned that as a young kid. She said, so you tell me you want me to hold you more? I'm like, yes. Yes, I want you to hold me more. And then I remember being very little with the rest of us, like my younger grandkids, they don't know not being held by her. That was very the norm. And even with my mother and stuff, with my nephews and stuff, we just came from a family trip. Big old 34-year-old nephew is laid up in my mom's, crossed her lap in her bed, being held. Yeah. And why is that so important?
Yeah, it's very important. I love that. Even with our children, right? Like, I hold my baby and kiss her all the time, every day. Every chance I get, we're hugging and swaying, and I'm kissing them cheeks, because that's just, it's healing. Like, we need it. And Jade and I do the same. We embrace each other. Even like when I see my sisters, we're hugging. Like, we're hugging for a long time. We're not like just like church hugging and like dipping out. Like we holding each other. So it's true.
I love that. I can definitely see with all 3 of my kids, with my daughters, because they're always like, my 15-year-old hugs, kisses me every show, before, in between. My little one's cute. Like, She's like, I need to cuddle right now. I need to recharge.
I need a cuddle.
I say, you need a cuddle recharge? She's like, yes, it's too much, especially when
I need
she's
a
just
cuddle recharge.
overwhelmed. She's
Yeah.
like, it's too much. I need to be cuddled. Someone hold me. It's a lot.
She know the vibes. She gonna get right up under mama.
I love it. And I feel like that's what we're teaching our children. So when they're
Yeah.
feeling something and the traumas are coming or things are like that, it's like we are implementing into them the tools that it's okay.
It's okay.
We're here for you.
Yes.
And we're going to run through it together. And you know, that's how we make change.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you were here with us today. I want everyone to know how, if they're loving the vibe, they're like, oh my God, Queen Koni is everything. I need this in my life. How do people find you?
On IG, Queen_Koni LJH. You will find me. You will find all of my links, all of my offerings. My page is a representation of my life's experience, and so you'll see a bunch of quotes on there that come from my diaries and my experiences on the journey of healing. And so I'm stepping into my authentic self and just sharing more of my words, because that's my gift, is facilitating breakthrough via storytelling. I think sharing my personal experiences is what gives me the authority, right? Because people can relate. And when people can relate, they can feel vulnerable. And when they can feel vulnerable, now you're open to receiving the healing. You're open to receiving all of the information and the stimuli that's going to support you being regulated, right? And I always tell people, like, you know, pain is inevitable. When you bring up these traumas, they are going to hurt. You can expect to feel discomfort. However, the only way to release the pain is to feel it first. And pain is temporary.
Yes. But the healing can be forever.
Yes, the healing is forever. It definitely is. And it's not easy at first, but it does get easier over time, because you become more regulated. And the goal is to be able to manipulate your own energy in the midst of dysregulation, in the midst of anxiety, in the midst of depression and all these things. That is forever. This world is not exempt from that, right? This reality. However, we do have the power. We have the power to regulate ourselves in the midst of it and to be able to move through it quickly or quicker.
I love that. And I love that you just are out here being vulnerable. And that takes a lot to be able to heal people with your own vulnerability, because everybody can't do that.
Yeah, it's, you know, and it's a practice for me every single day. It's a practice. It's not easy. I'm learning just like everybody else is learning, you know. And I'm committed too. Like, when you commit to your well-being and your growth, it changes the game. Like, it really changes the game. Like, you set intentions, it's different.
It is. You walking in different paths here, and I'm excited to see your growth and the growth that you're giving to so many people with your practice and just your spirit and your family overall. You come in hard, and I love it. But with the most sweetest way possible. It's like, you came all at me, but it's always with love. It's always with compassion. It's always with vulnerability.
Yes.
And
it's the sweetness.
It's the sweetness, and it's just the knowing that, you know what, it's okay. Everybody's got trauma, but it's okay, because we're going to hold hands through it. And I'm going to love you through it. And I feel like that's what makes you so special, and makes, you know, for viewers and other people who've never dealt with your trauma, this is how it starts. Love yourself enough to be like, you deserve this. Yeah. You deserve this. You deserve to be happy. You deserve not to be full of pain. And if you are, call up Queen Koni, honey, especially if you're in the Tampa Bay area. Stop playing. Listen.
Especially if you're a facilitator of healing too. Like, if you're a healer, we've all been conditioned, right? We're wounded healers. But if you're a healer, like, I'm here for you. Like, this is the place that you can come and de-stress. You can, you know, you can process, you can release, you can let it go, you can get your cup filled, and then you can continue to be of service for your, matter of fact, you're a better person for your clients by taking care of yourself, like, in that way. You know what I mean? Like, we're better mothers, we're better sisters, we're better everything.
Absolutely. We're better partners. I feel like, hey, healers, leaders, therapists, you're out here doing the work. Go get your cup filled. Go have someone else give you your flowers. So
I love that.
You know, go look you up some Queen Koni. It will like just make things so much better for you. And again, I so enjoyed having you in the space. I would love to have you again. I would love to have you. Love to have your partner Jade, because you know I love me some Jade. Y'all don't understand. Jade is Koni's is amazing.
She's the truth in the booth.
Yes, y'all are just together, just so special. You're so special. And I would love
Thank
to have you guys
you.
again, and
Absolutely.
always holding space. And thank you for holding space here with us and holding space
Yes.
overall. I know you are super busy today and doing all the work. So, we're going to cut it a little short today, not forever, for just this time. But again, you always are welcome on According to Courtney.
Oh, it's such an honor. Thank you for having me. I love you so much. You already know how I feel about you. And we shall do this again.
Absolutely. Not goodbye and just until another time, okay?
Love
And
that.
so for my viewers, know that you are loved, you are special, and you are amazing. Remember to fill your cup, because if you're not filling your cup, who else is going to fill it? And if you need help, come every Saturday at 10 a.m. and know that I'm here to help you fill your cup. So thank you. Until next time, you guys take care, okay?
Peace.
Bye, you guys.